In the vastness of Middle Eastern history, the narratives of the 12 tribes of Ishmael and Israel emerge. Amidst divergences and divine promises, the stories of these tribes resonate not only as historical records but also as foundations that have shaped beliefs, traditions, and identities over millennia. However, to understand how it all began, it is necessary to first explore the relationship between Abraham, Sarah, and Hagar. Biblical characters played a significant role in the genealogy and history of the tribes. Abraham, originally called Abram, is considered the central patriarch in Jewish, Christian, and Islamic traditions. He is revered as a key figure in the relationship between God and humanity. The story of Ishmael and Isaac begins with the complex relationship between Abraham, Sarah, and Hagar. Initially, Abraham and Sarah faced the difficulty of Sarah's infertility. In a moment of concern and questioning from Abraham, God communicates directly with him, offering words of encouragement and reaffirming the promise of numerous descendants. However, even after the divine promise, Abraham and Sarah still struggle to conceive children. Seeking a solution to the desire for a child and heir, Sarah suggests that Abraham, her husband, have a child with her Egyptian servant Hagar. Abraham agrees, and Hagar conceives Ishmael. This conception is not without conflicts. The Bible recounts tensions and rivalries between Sarah and Hagar. After Hagar's pregnancy, Sarah begins to treat her harshly, leading Hagar to flee into the desert. In this context, an angel of the Lord encounters Hagar and prophesies the birth of Ishmael and his descendants. The story takes a new turn when Hagar, encouraged by the prophetic words, decides to return to Abraham's house. This return reaffirms the family connection and marks the beginning of a journey where God's purpose for Ishmael would begin to unfold. After the birth of Ishmael, the biblical narrative continues with significant events in the lives of Abraham, Sarah, and Hagar. The Bible reports that sometime after Ishmael's birth, God appeared again to Abraham and renewed his promises, specifically mentioning that Sarah, despite her advanced age, would give birth to a son. Hearing this, Sarah initially laughs in disbelief, but God confirms that nothing is impossible for him. The Quran also addresses this moment, describing how the angels announced the birth of Isaac to Abraham and Sarah, who were initially incredulous. The birth of Isaac is marked by joy and gratitude, representing the fulfillment of the divine promise of numerous descendants. However, the family dynamics become more complex as the children grow. Tensions between Sarah and Hagar increase, eventually resulting in the expulsion of Hagar and Ishmael. In this context, God intervenes again, assuring Abraham that he will make Ishmael into a great nation. The stories of Ishmael and Israel intersect at various points, often highlighting the tension and rivalry between the two lineages, as both received exclusive blessings from God. For Ishmael, the divine promises are linked to his role as the firstborn son of Abraham. God promised Abraham that Ishmael would be blessed and become the father of a great nation. The name Ishmael itself suggests a significant promise, meaning God will hear. This divine blessing also manifests in Islamic belief, where Ishmael is considered a significant figure in the construction of the Kaaba, the holiest site in Islam in Mecca. On the other hand, the promises made to the descendants of Isaac are equally impactful. God promised them that their descendants would become a great nation and inherit the promised land. This promise is crucial in the context of Jewish, Christian, and Islamic traditions, as it is associated with the formation of the people of Israel and divine revelation throughout the Old Testament. The differences in divine promises reflect distinct destinies and roles in sacred history. Ishmael is blessed as the father of a great nation, with a destiny unfolding in different geographical regions. The tribes of Ishmael historically found their main dwelling in the Arabian Peninsula and adjacent areas. This vast region includes territories such as most of Saudi Arabia, parts of Yemen, Jordan, and the United Arab Emirates. The Arabian Peninsula became the primary setting for the traditions, cultures, and establishment of Ishmaelite tribes throughout history. Meanwhile, through his son Jacob, also known as Israel, Isaac is promised a specific territory and a prominent position as the chosen people. This land located in the Middle East was a specific territory that included areas that are now part of Israel, Palestine, Jordan, and parts of Lebanon and Syria. The Promised Land became the home of the tribes of Israel, as narrated in the scriptures, and played a central role in their traditions, religious practices, and collective history. In this context, the 12 tribes of Ishmael and the 12 tribes of Israel, or rather of Jacob to avoid confusion, emerge. In this video, whenever I mention the name Israel, understand it as Jacob. It's worth remembering that Jacob, the son of Isaac and the grandson of Abraham, had his name changed by God from Jacob to Israel, meaning, "Let God prevail." Before we delve into the tribes, I believe I deserve you to subscribe to the channel and click the like button to help us with YouTube. It costs nothing and will help us a lot. Continuing, the 12 tribes of Israel have their roots in the lineage of Jacob, also known as Israel. Jacob's descendants are detailed in the scriptures, indicating that he had 12 sons, each of whom gave rise to a tribe. These tribes formed the foundations of Israelite communities settling in the Promised Land. The history and destiny of these tribes are intrinsically linked to the religious and cultural tradition of Judaism, playing a fundamental role in the development and identity of the Israelite people over the centuries. On the other hand, the Bible does not explicitly list the 12 tribes of Ishmael in the same way it does with the 12 tribes of Israel, descendants of Jacob's sons. In Genesis chapter 17, God promises Abraham that Ishmael will be blessed and have numerous descendants, but does not specify the exact number of tribes or specific details about Ishmael's posterity. However, the biblical narrative highlights that Ishmael became the father of 12 princes, as mentioned in Genesis chapter 17. For this reason, many scholars also use the term 12 tribes to facilitate understanding of Ishmael's descent. The 12 tribes of Ishmael have their origins in Ishmael, the firstborn of Abraham, born in a peculiar circumstance. Ishmael, as mentioned earlier, was conceived through Hagar, the servant of Sarah, Abraham's wife. This family dynamic resulted in a distinct lineage that, like the 12 tribes of Israel, played a crucial role in history and cultural heritage. These two lineages, although sharing a common connection in Abraham, represent divergent paths in biblical history, influencing the communities that descend from them in distinct ways, shaping their own traditions and identities. Speaking of community, the names of Ishmael's 12 sons carry meanings that intertwine with the biblical and Islamic narrative, giving rise to the territories they occupied. Nebaioth, associated with heights, may indicate settlements in mountainous regions. This tribe may have played a crucial role in defining territories and trade routes in mountainous regions, contributing to Ishmaelite influence in strategic areas. Kedar, meaning dark or black, possibly reflects the geographical or cultural characteristics of the tribe. Its geographical and historical influence may have been shaped by specific features of the territory, such as the presence of dark deserts or areas with distinct characteristics. The Ad, whose meaning is silence or peace, suggests a tranquil atmosphere associated with the tribe. Tema, related to the south or desert, indicates a possible geographical location, emphasizing the importance of context in Ishmaelite history. Jetur, meaning succession or remainder, points to continuity, suggesting the transmission of values through generations. Mibsam, with the meaning of fragrance or pleasant smell, may have symbolic implications representing the blessing associated with the tribe. Adbil, a name meaning noisy or noisy clamor, may reflect distinct characteristics of the tribe. Tema, associated with tradition or what is ancient, may indicate a connection with traditional values. The names of Naif, respectively related to wealth and the East, may suggest the prosperity and geographical orientation of the tribe. These names, rich in meaning, contribute to the complexity of the Ishmaelite narrative, outlining characteristics, values, and possible territories associated with each of the 12 tribes. It is essential to debunk the common idea that all Arabs are descendants of Ishmael. While Ishmael is a prominent figure in Abrahamic religious traditions and is considered the ancestor of some Arab tribes, the reality is more complex. Ethnic diversity in the region is vast. and Arabs form a heterogeneous group, including descendants of Ishmael and other Semitic peoples related to different biblical figures. In addition to the Ishmaelite tribes, there were other groups such as the Midianites, brothers of the Ishmaelites, and 5 other tribes descended from Abraham through his union with Keturah, who was Abraham's second wife after the death of Sarah. The diversity of Semitic peoples in the Middle East is a crucial point for understanding the rich cultural and ethnic heritage that has developed over the centuries. The Ishmaelite tribes exerted a profound influence on the history and culture of the Middle East over the centuries. They were strategically located on important trade routes, facilitating trade and cultural exchange between diverse civilizations. This contributed to the enrichment of the region with different influences and practices. Cities like Mecca became important not only as commercial centers, but also as significant religious sites, such as the Kaaba, one of the holiest points in Islam. Concerning the tribes of Israel, each carries a unique heritage and a distinct role in the sacred narrative. Reuben, the firstborn, had his leadership shaken by complex circumstances. In a striking episode, he lies with Bilhah, one of Jacob's concubines and the mother of Dan and Naphtali. This action is seen as a challenge to Jacob's authority and is considered an act of disrespect. By taking this step, Reuben compromises his leadership as the firstborn as he dishonors his father's bed. In the same vein, other sons of Jacob deserve attention, including Judah and Joseph. The messianic prophecies associated with the tribes of Judah and Joseph play fundamental roles in bringing Jacob's blessing upon Judah. Recorded in Genesis chapter 49, verse 10, it prophesies that the scepter will not depart from Judah, indicating a royal lineage. This promise culminates in Jesus Christ, recognized as the Lion of the tribe of Judah, establishing his royal authority. In parallel, the stories of Joseph, especially his rise in Egypt after being sold by his brothers, mirror the Messiah's journey. Just as Joseph became a savior for his family, Jesus would emerge as the savior of the world. Joseph's reconciliation with his brothers reflects the redemption and grace that would characterize Christ's work. The stories of Ishmael and Israel also played fundamental roles in the 3 major monotheistic religions of the world: Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. This significance transcends religious differences, uniting these traditions at a key point in the biblical narrative. In Judaism, the stories of the tribes of Israel are central to the identity of the Jewish people. The divine promise of a promised land and the formation of the 12 tribes are essential elements in understanding the covenant between God and the people of Israel. The story of the Exodus from Egypt, the delivery of the tablets of the law to Moses, and the conquest of the promised land are significant events that shaped the Jewish faith. In Christianity, the stories of Israel have an even greater importance, as the New Testament is based on the traditions and prophecies of the Old Testament. Jesus Christ, considered the Messiah, is often referred to as a descendant of David, one of the prominent figures of the tribes of Israel. The connection between the Old and New Testaments highlights the continuity and fulfillment of divine promises in the figure of Jesus. In Islam, Ishmael plays a crucial role. Ishmael is considered a prophet and is revered for his involvement in the construction of the Kaaba in Mecca, the holiest site in Islam. The figure of Ishmael is particularly important in the story of Abraham, who is recognized as a prophet in Islam. The stories of Ishmael and Israel converge at many points, creating a web of meanings that unite Islamic traditions with Judeo-Christian traditions. Despite the various convergences, unfortunately, ancestral rivalries between these tribes, whether due to territorial disputes, cultural differences, or interpretations of religious traditions, may have left scars that persist through generations. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please subscribe to the channel and click the like button to help us with YouTube. It costs nothing and will help us a lot. Hugs and stay with God.